Hello again to anybody that's joined me. Hello, one viewer. How are you? This is going to be quite a quick flick through because this is old work. Probably intermingled with some not so old work because I'm not very good at putting this in order. But this is old, much older work. This is way pre Wild Spirit deck when I was really finding my way. Somebody said this looked like a woman shoving a squirrel into a tree, which really put me off. Yeah, probably does look a bit like that actually, but yeah, it's quite nice. She's quite nice. This is when I was still using a lot of watercolour and just experimenting. Okay, well, we'll skip over those because then I like this bit up here, so I'll show you that bit. That's nice, but the other bits, oh, that's quite nice too. Other bits I'm not very happy with in terms of their quality of yeah, the artwork isn't very good, but they were in the kind of early stages of finding a new style and finding my way. I think this is a series of cards I did. This is the Yule Card for somebody who wanted them for their shop, I think. Difficult to remember because it was a long time ago, but nice. Again, they're very detailed, these things. Not particularly brilliantly executed in terms of what I would want to do now, but it's a nice piece. And there's the woman again, but this time she's not shoving a squirrel into a tree, which is probably a relief. But I do like the face. And I can see what I was heading towards. I hadn't quite got the style, but it's pretty. Let's look at it from up there. Oh, trembly hand. There we go. It's a pretty piece. That was a lino cut, which is okay, but not particularly brilliantly done. But it's okay. I think this was for something somebody wanted me to do for them, but I ended up keeping it, so maybe they didn't like it because it wasn't for me, I don't think. A man sitting by a cauldron. Yes, not particularly keen on that one. I'm not sure what these are. I don't know whether I was doing making cards or whether they were for a book. I think they might have been for a book that I was writing, a short story book that I was writing. And I was very influenced by sort of medieval art and books of hours and things, and you can probably tell that from a lot of the faces look quite medieval, and also the decoration with a twist. Obviously it's got a more modern twist to it, but that's where I was coming from. I very much liked the idea of the books of hours and the meticulous foliage and the borders. So that explains that a bit more, doesn't it? That's some shells. Don't know why, but it is. That's a copy. Actually, it's not the original, so it's not really worth looking at. Again, I don't know. I think this was for the book. I wrote a book about a tree. Wrote quite a few short stories about trees. I think I was doing that for an illustration. Obviously it would not have been good enough, I don't think, but it has a certain charm, a certain naive charm that I like, and I could never get back now because I'd be too worried about doing it properly. But again, it's got that bordering books of hours type feel, but with a modern slant on it. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's of its time, that's the thing. That's why we're going through the old work. They're of their moment. And that moment can't really be revisited. This was when I was getting influenced by tarot as well as the medieval design. And you can see that quite clearly here. Don't know why I did that, just probably because I wanted to. Here's a fox lino print. Not bad. Quite nice. I think this was an illustration for something. Was that in my first book, Season of Sorcery? I really can't remember. There was black and white illustrations in there, and it had that graphic rotary pen dotted style. So yes, I think it was, because here's another one that was in there, and that actually then became another Wild Spirit card. I thought it was a shame not to use it. This is very, very much medieval to me in terms of its styling. Very sorry. Yeah, it came out differently in the Wild Spirit card, but it's very graphic and lots of work gone into it, even though it's not anatomically fantastic, which of course bothers me greatly, but there you go. Right, my hand's shaking a bit there because I'm holding this too tightly. This was another in the series of the cards that I did for somebody. Totally not in my style at all now, but there you go. I would say those colours are completely wrong for the time of year, but it's of its time, isn't it? Now this was a series I did for Longman, I think, or was it? It was a Oxford University Press. I'm not sure. It was a series I did for a book. They do teaching books. Whoever they were, they did teaching books, and I knew somebody that worked for them. And this was a series that I put forward for that. Obviously, that's spring. Totally different to my usual work, but sort of nice in a way. Not particularly anatomically fantastic, but they've got something. Obviously autumn. I'm not sure whether they ever got used. I think I like spring best. I like her face. Not sure whether they ever got used. I think that was what they were looking for. I can't remember. You hear that a lot, don't you? There's a cat looking through some flowers. Sunflowers and poppies, because I was just playing around with the style. I also wrote a book about Dingleford the Dancing Cat, and he was maybe Dingleford the Dancing Cat. Yeah, not sure, but it doesn't matter. We're just looking at them, aren't we? Again, there's that medieval influence. I didn't quite know what I was doing. I was cobbling together all sorts of, quite graphic botanical pictures and all sorts. I was searching for my style, as we do, unless we're very lucky and we chance upon it early on and stick with it and develop it. I was all over the place for quite a while in terms of styles, and I think this was in one of my books, probably Season of Sorcery, but I'm not sure. I think that might be the basis of that card I showed you earlier, but there you go. And again, that's the same style of the kind of medieval books of hours. I'm not sure. I think this might have again been a book illustration. I did do quite a few short stories. Not sure why she's so sad. There we go. Quite funky cat in some flowers, and why not? That's all I can say, really. And why not? I think she came back in the Wild Spirit deck as Illumination, I believe. Here, I think she was also in one of my books as an illustration, probably Season of Sorcery. I liked her so much that she came back because she had the Illumination theme. This is a portrait of one of my lovely friends who sadly passed away. Quite pleased with that because it looks exactly like him. Hello, Carl. That's the cover of one of my books, Wild Witch. Again, they're very nice, and they were just, they were very me, if you like, at the time. They're very bitty. They're not well thought out in terms of design. There's bits all over the place, but they're not. It's. I can honestly say that that's come from me, and that's a good thing, rather than copying it off somebody else. And that dragonfly, I think you might have seen that before, but that was another one of the series of cards that I did. I think it was for somebody called Sophie. And that was that. Just some design work. Oh, that was more stuff I did for the educational people. I don't think there's a lot left in here now. More foxes. Yeah, there's that lady again with the graphic bits. That was a illustration for Season of Sorcery. You can see my medieval influence here. And the work that I put into everything, which was quite a lot. And again, I think that turned up in that book, but I'm not sure. Or maybe that was... I just don't know. It's a stag anyway, isn't it? It's a stag. It's a stag with some sunflowers. So there's a piece of calligraphy there with one of my poems. Should I read that? No. You probably go... It says, seduce ripe crescent, silver bloated with shadow, slide fat with silence, ride upon the quiet wave. I think I got that from somewhere else, actually. It's not my poem. Illusionary visionary, barefoot glide, pale candle, widdershins you alone, O greedy moon in a velvet place. Right, okay, moving on. I think you've seen her before. I'm sure you have. Not sure about this one, though. That was kind of based on me at the time. That was my look. That's how I fancied myself as, being this mystic sitting on a blanket reading fortunes, which, you know, yeah, anyway, it's a nice picture. All this ornamentation around the edges, that always featured. It's very interesting for me looking back, thinking, when did I stop doing that? When did that just drop off, as it were? Sorry if you're getting lots of shine there. Yeah, so that was a very glamorous version of me. It didn't actually look that fantastic, but yeah. I'm not even going to bother with this because, oh dear, good grief, it's so complex and so overly done. There's bits everywhere. We'll just go around some bits of it. There's just bits and bits. It's too bitty. Too bitty. So let's look at this instead. A cat and some flowers. Again. Yeah. Are we finished? Oh no, we have finally another picture from Season of Sorcery. Very, very medieval influence again. If you've ever read Season of Sorcery, which was my first book, and I think one of my best ones in terms of what I put into it, yeah, you'll know that there's a story about a monk in there. There is a reference to him, or me, depending on how you look at it. Yeah. So he featured in the book illustrations, and again in that graphic style and the medieval style-y. Right, let's just whiz through these because these aren't very interesting. I don't know whether they were very interesting actually, but hey, yeah, playing around with watercolours and the very early piece. There's the Beltane card from that series that I did, and next to it you will see something familiar from the Wild Spirit deck. Not sure if I changed that in the Wild Spirit version, but this is how it looked. It's that new boots on old tracks thing again that I think I was hoping to write the book of that never happened. Again, the foliage border, very much of its time. Now this is a piece that I did. I wish you could see the whole thing. This is a piece I did for the same lady I did when I said I couldn't remember who the goddess figure was. And this was for Belenus. Handily, we have his name at the bottom. The god Belenus. So I incorporated all the things that was associated with him and the things that she'd wanted, because it was a commission, into this piece. And this is a copy, so you're not getting the full quality, but he's quite nice, isn't he? I'm pleased with him. You've got the Uffington white horse there and a Celtic coin, his flag, the sun, his horse, and the Sulis sign thing from Bath. Sun. I'm just going to be waffling there, so I'll shut up and not betray my ignorance. Okay, we'll just stick with him. I think this is quite a nice piece. I hope she was happy with it. It was like when I was a tattooist, it's terrifying creating something for somebody who wants it. I probably worried myself into a cocked hat, whatever that means, over this. Yeah, I mean, tattooing was obviously a billion times more stressful because you're actually doing it permanently onto somebody, but I did worry when I was asked to do something that I would do it well for them. I put a lot into everything that I do, or did. There's that woman balancing a squirrel again. At least she's not shoving him into a hole in the tree, which is generous of her. So you can see how much I progressed with my drawing of animals and people, but it's nice to look at them anyway. And it's got the nice borders with the foliage and so forth. I think we're coming to the end of the usefulness of this book. Cover of my book, Green Spirituality, which I wrote as Rosa Romani. I don't know whether any of you know that, but I did. That was the cover. Right, we've seen these in the other folder. That was something. He was from my Season of Sorcery book, and he also then appeared in the Wild Spirit deck, but less graphically and probably less medieval looking, because again he had that theme about him. This is a character called Treeface, who was in my greening book. This is Fiddle. I think we've seen that before. This was a commission piece of Archangel Michael. Don't think again that was exactly what they wanted. So I'm not terribly good at producing things that are straightforward. It's very medieval again, isn't it? I'm not quite sure that's what they had in mind at the time, but I like it. It has something. The face is nice. I can see my colours are getting the way I'm using my colours is moving more towards the future style there, but that is quite an old piece. I think it was the Archangel Michael. Might have been another one. I don't know. It was an archangel of some type. I think we've seen most of these. Oh, hang on. What have we got here? My character from the greening. Don't think anybody's seen that one. There she is, close up, Liane. And again, Treeface from the greening book. These never went into the book. I thought there'd be illustrations in the book, and there wasn't because it would be too expensive or difficult for me to have done that. So here they are, languishing in this book, which is a shame. Let's have a look at his face. You can see why he's called Treeface. There you go. I think they were just extra pieces to go in a book or something. Nice foliage designs. Should we look at him again? He's quite nice, isn't he? Yeah, so right, I think we're coming to the tattoo design. That shouldn't really be in there because it's completely out of context or time. Yeah, I should shut up now actually. Is there anything else in there worth seeing? No. Okay, before we stop, I found this. That's another Lino print of a sunflower. Hello. I found this, which is quite interesting. Another friend of mine who's now passed away was doing a deck, an oracle deck for Terry Pratchett, the late Terry Pratchett. So not only did my dear friend pass away, but so did he. And she'd asked me to put together some ideas for them, given with the names that he had in mind relating to his work. And that's what this little series was here. I'm not a fan of Terry Pratchett, so I can't explain to you what those things mean, but that was just an interesting thing that I found anyway. Right, we'll leave it there. Thank you for joining me again, one viewer. Or maybe no viewers, maybe I'm just speaking into the ether. Anyway, it was nice. I enjoyed it. Thank you. Lots of love. Bye for now.